Hey guys, Mike Toy with Bonsai Boise. So this is one of my Cotoneasters, aka Cotoneaster, aka Cotoneaster, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I call it a Cotoneaster. I've had this about 5 years. It's been neglected somewhat. I really haven't given it a whole lot of special attention. I've trimmed it a few times and I've given it some general shape, but for the most part, I just hedge prune it. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say really about that. I haven't given it much special attention, so today I'm going to. So the plan today is to take it out of this old training pot, put it into a semi-nicer pot. You know, it's an actual bonsai pot at least. But I'll give you a closer look at it because it's got some interesting features to it. You probably noticed this right off the bat, this big knob. And this huge base of the trunk that doesn't really taper very smoothly. It kind of is just massive trunk base and then into this skinny little trunk. So not sure what to do with it yet. And maybe that's half the reason I've neglected it for the past 5 years. But I'll give you a look at how it started and some of the earlier pictures so you can see kind of where it came from. And then we'll dive in and get to work on it and take a closer look. Let's go. All right, so this is back in June of 2019. At this point, I had had the tree about 2 years. I think I dug it up late summer of 2017. And I know what you're thinking. Where can you get one of those fancy training pots? Sorry to say they were limited edition and no longer available. So you have to get a regular pot. But yeah, I threw it in there and I'm remembering now too, I think it was over the winter of 17 to 18, I actually thought it died and I just kind of threw it out in the yard and didn't water it or give it any attention, and then it just sort of came back to life. So this is the tree that came back to life. So this was the first actual styling I gave it. I just sort of chiseled away at some of the dead wood and trimmed the branches into shape. So you can see there how the root system works. It's kind of got 3 main sections. It's just unique and goofy and weird. And here it looks kind of like a wet cat almost. If you give a cat a bath, that's what it would look like. But you can see it's just different. And someday I may have to choose between one side or the other to go with. Or maybe not, you know, who knows. But I'm thinking at some point I may have to choose and either go with the right side as the base or go with the left side as a base. We'll save that decision for a later date. Anyways, this was the first time I really worked with it. My idea at the time was to let the top of it just grow wild to help thicken up the trunk. But eventually I couldn't take it and I hacked off the top. It was just too weird. And then here it is the following year. I didn't repot it, just trimmed it up because it turned into a bush. I don't know if I really had trimmed it at all that whole year up until this point. Doesn't look like it. These Cotoneasters, I'm no expert at them, but I can tell you just from my experience so far, they are hard to kill. They grow vigorously. They love to backbud, and they love to backbud, you know, 4 or 5 branches out of the same spot. So here I am trying to figure out which way to even go with it. Making funny faces in the process. Yeah, I went with kind of just almost like a triple pad there. And here we are, present day. So the plan is to take it out of this training pot and put it into this bonsai pot. It's really just such a unique specimen to me, at least. You know, I'm not even saying it's a unique in a good way, maybe. It's just unique. Such a massive base And it doesn't taper very subtly. It just has a real kind of dramatic, big fat base. Top part is super skinny. Eventually I will have to get rid of that knob on front, but for now I'm leaving it because I don't know, I kind of like it. And I think maybe nature will do the hard work for me and it'll just rot off at some point. But you can see here I'm a little late repotting it now that the buds have burst and the leaves are coming out. But as I said before, these things are hard to kill. Cotoneasters are pretty tough. Even the branches, I mean, I don't know how well you can tell from me messing with it here, but the branches are not, you know, delicate little new branches like a maple or, you know, a lot of most trees, basically. New branches are kind of soft and delicate. Not on a Cotoneaster. They come out and they're pretty hardy. Also, I wanted to show this. It's neither here nor there. I just thought it was cool. This is the Maiden Voyage. I got this for like $5 on Amazon. And its purpose is this kind of thing, is for repotting plants and bonsai trees. You fold it up, you unfold it, you button up the corners. I like it. Not bad for $5. I had been doing this type of work in a different, you know, pot just like this one is in, like an oil pan. And it's got its ups and downs, but the hard part was that it takes up a lot of room and the shape just is what it is. So I like my new little folding bonsai work pad. I think I got it for $5, something like that. Anyways, so this has some movement. If you remember from that first clip where I let the top just grow out, you can see where I did a trunk chop right there. I say there as if you know what I'm looking at, but I think you can see where the trunk just dramatically curves off to the left at the top there. That's where the trunk chop was. So it's got some good movement going for it so far. I'm just going to roll with that. The top half or 2/3 does have good, subtle, but distinct taper, where it just gradually gets skinnier at the top. Something I wanted to achieve here too is I wanted to stand it upright a little bit more. I almost always put a lean on my trees, especially when they're in the development phase, just because I think it helps give it movement and character, and you don't have to wire branches as often that way. In this particular case, we're getting to the point where I wanted to stand it up a little bit more upright than it is now. So that being said, I'm trying to keep it in mind when I'm making these cuts. So a branch facing down may not actually be facing down when I stand it upright more. It might face off to the left or the right. In this particular case, the branch off to the right, I couldn't figure out which way to go on it. It's hard to know until you actually stand it up, but eventually I do decide. But I try not to overthink it though too, because the main feature of this bonsai is that base. And I still don't know for sure what I'm gonna do with it long term. I don't know if I'll keep the base of it the way it is, like that. Or like I said, I might just choose half of it. Say for example, I chose the half that is currently to our right. Then I would chop off the part to the left and it would flow. It would just flow upward into the trunk. Or I could go the other way and keep the right side and get rid of the left, which would kind of make more sense, I think. But I don't know. I don't want to decide yet. I'm gonna hedge my bets and hold my cards a little longer if I can. And who knows, I may choose neither. I may just keep it like this and keep it kind of a cool feature. If I can find a cool rock that will fit underneath it, then I might just go with that. I mean, maybe a good candidate for a root over rock. There we go. So you can see I went with went with the top branch there. Just made more sense to me. So here we go. Getting rid of the rocks there. So it's been in this pot for 3 years. Put it in there in 2019. I originally had thought it would have been in there for 5 years, but I was wrong. It was 3. It wasn't root bound, but it had a pretty big, healthy root system. And this was the long, dirty part of the process. By the way, I had not watched those previous clips before I did this, so I couldn't remember what I was walking into there. And then the more I got into it, the more I remembered that, oh yeah, this has like 3, I'd call it root pads. So there it is. I trimmed it down into shape. Didn't get real crazy with it. Didn't get real intricate. I just kind of trimmed it down into shape so that it would fit in the pot. Here I'm looking for any obvious roots to get rid of. Roots that are going straight up or crossing over. But I don't fine tune it. I was kind of surprised at how well it fit in this pot. It just fit right in. Had a couple other pot candidates just in case. This pot in this video looks to be kind of a navy blue or a blue, but in the right light, it's actually purple. Hopefully I capture that at some point. So I'm just putting in some bonsai soil. Putting it in the soil. I'm going to work the soil into the roots. I'll tell you a mistake I used to make that I try not to make now. I used to just pour all the soil in and then work it all in. It takes forever that way. Just put a little bit in, work that little bit. Put a little more in, work that a little bit more. That seems to take less time and just be overall easier because you kind of just know the progress you're making along the way. So this is my normal speed after 4 cups of coffee. Finally dawned on me what I should do there. Oh, let's put a rock in there. And then it dawns on me afterward, when I go to water it, that those are ugly rocks. I have better rocks. So I tried to put a couple of more decent looking rocks in there. I'm going to say this tree is not exactly in its, I wouldn't call it a pre-bonsai, but I wouldn't call it full-on bonsai either. We're somewhere in the middle. At least by my standards and by my collection. So there it is after I watered it. I grabbed a handful of, better looking rocks than those ones. I had some pieces of granite that I picked up with my girlfriend when we went swimming up in McCall. So those are our McCall granite rocks. I'll give you a better look at those. You can see, there they are. So the big one in the middle there is a granite rock. The others that look similar from the same collection. Then the white rocks are just decorative white rocks. I thought they would contrast well with the dark blue/purple pot. Also, I'll point out these Cotoneasters are, I believe they're considered semi-evergreen. They keep some of their leaves every winter. They turn a lot of cool colors in the fall, very colorful. And they drop, I don't know, maybe half of them. And then over the course of the winter, I'd say they drop another, 90%. And so when spring hits, they still have a few hangers on. what I know about that. So, yeah, anyways, here's a look. You can see it's a lot of good potential, and I have options with it for later. That knob's gonna have to go sooner or later. That's not a permanent feature. But yeah, a lot of options later. I can keep the left side, I could keep the right side. Maybe I'll keep both and just keep it as a root over rock. I don't know. Let me know your opinions and thoughts. Seems like everybody in the bonsai community, I'll call it, on YouTube and etc., always has great opinions. It's not like a contentious atmosphere where everybody has to outdo somebody else. Everybody just shares good ideas and opinions, and so I always appreciate. I learn a lot. Every video I post, somebody has a good tip or good comment or observation that I missed or that I didn't know, and so I learn a ton by posting videos. So I appreciate that. Don't be afraid to leave me your thoughts on it. There's a little closer look. Sorry about the lighting. My giant head keeps shading out the light no matter where I stand. I could not find a good position to stand without shading it out. There it is. So that the bark is interesting on the back side of that. I'll call it a trunk base. It's like it kept half of its bark and lost the other half, where it's dead wood on the front there and bark on the back side. I imagine that a lot of that will rot away over time, but this is it. This is one of 3 Cotoneasters I have, but this is the largest one and most unique one. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. You can see updates on this and previous videos and see other trees that I have. So I appreciate everybody who likes and subscribes. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.